Good morning. Welcome to SEC Baseball Talk here at Southeastern 16. I'm your host, Chris Lee, joined by Graham Doty. We are well into Omaha. We've got two games involving SEC teams today. We've got Arkansas and Murray State in an elimination game, I believe, scheduled for 1 Central, weather willing, and then Arkansas and UCLA in the winner's bracket in the nightcap. Graham Doty, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're well. Hope you had a wonderful Father's Day, your first. And what's on your mind? Good, yeah. What was that like?
Good Father's Day. It didn't hit me until yesterday. It's like, oh yeah, I guess this impacts me now too because I got gifts. I wasn't planning on gifts. Also, our baby girl got baptized yesterday. We had 25 family members and friends make the trip to Oxford, so it was a good day. So a really good first Father's Day, and baptism went well. She didn't cry. She handled it like a champ, and our pastor gave her back to us and was like, "This is a really good baby." We were like, "Thank you, appreciate it." So it was a good day. Hope you had a great Father's Day as well.
It was good. Got a little rest, which we need coming into the home stretch here. So if you didn't catch it last night and yesterday, Arizona blew a big lead and got knocked out of the tournament by Louisville, and Coastal Carolina continued to do what Coastal Carolina does, which is really pitch it, and sent Oregon State to the losers bracket. So you'll have that Arkansas game leading us off. You'll have LSU in the winners bracket tomorrow. You'll have Louisville and Oregon State in an elimination game, and then Coastal Carolina gets past to Wednesday in the winners bracket. So Coastal will have a chance to rest. It's already stout pitching staff, which I'm sure everybody in that bracket just loves.
Yeah, I saw his their starters post game, like not press conference. It was on the field. He got interviewed on the field after the game, and that he straight up said, "I'm the best pitcher in college baseball." I mean, he was not being shy, or it's not easy being humble, but props to him. He was sensational yesterday, and Coastal is a real threat here to make it to the championship game. I kind of thought they would. Again, anytime you win 25 games in a row, you don't do that by accident. I don't care what conference you play in.
Numbers-wise, he's got an argument. He's over 100 innings now, ERA under, right around 210 or so. That's elite. That's elite in any era, but especially this one.
Yeah. And, to me, they are a fascinating case of what they're going to look like moving forward with all the changes we saw, whenever that was, 2 weeks ago. What's going to stick, what's not going to stick. But what is Coastal Carolina going to look like baseball-wise moving forward? Because they have pretty consistently been, a top program the last 15 years or so.
Mm-hmm. Well, and basketball is a non-entity there, so
yeah, that's a big part. They are a non-factor. I've done several Coastal Carolina men's basketball games over the years. They have them competing in the top of that conference, men's or women's, just isn't going to happen. Now, you remember they were a thing in football for 2-3 years ago, and then
Jamie
Chadwell left to go to Liberty. He was making 800 J's here, by the way. He was making $800,000 at Coastal, and then Liberty's paying him $3 or $4 million.
Wow.
So good.
Holy buckets, it's Jay Greason.
All right, we're going to try to keep this to an hour. I got a basketball game to get to, and then after that, there's an hour-long VH1 special on Milli Vanilli. And Rob and Who's His Britches with the wig, those dudes could really sing.
Are you serious?
No.
Jay,
am I serious?
No, I'm thinking about watching the documentary. Everybody knew that.
Just blame it on the rain. Hey,
right.
The great story about Coastal Carolina is Chad. You know that guy that Chadwell replaced was the richest college football coach ever?
Oh, yeah. He made his money on Wall Street.
Yeah, he was like an 8-year CEO of TD Ameritrade.
Yeah, I had one Coastal Carolina football game, and he was the head coach then. Guys, that was one of the most fascinating production meetings. I mean, it was an hour, and it was mostly just about him and his career and his life and his journey. Because like he had a heart attack too or something, and like he missed a lot of the year. And Jamie Chadwell was the interim head coach, so like there was a lot of content there. Phenomenal story. His life rights are up to make a movie about his life.
The other thing that I think Coastal, because y'all's conversation was really interesting and spot on, and I saw Sam say, "Will Sunbelt teams go all in on baseball?" I think there's going to be a lot of people who have that conversation. I mean, Texas Tech just signed like 3 of the top 6 college softball players in the country.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what Coastal's going to have to be watching real closely is middle of last week, 8 female athletes filed a lawsuit that the House versus NCAA settlement is in violation of Title IX. I don't even know if Coastal Carolina has girls sports.
I think by law they have to, but you don't hear about them. Yeah.
I'm trying to think. In that conference, the sports you hear about on the women's side, the Raging Cajun softball team, they are a legit softball program. So much so that their coach left to go to Texas Tech, and they just played for a national championship.
With a $1.2 million pitcher they got from Stanford. And then 3 days after the Tennessee third baseman All-American said she was evolved for life, she's headed to Lubbock.
Yeah. From everything I've read, Jay, it's one booster for Texas Tech. Like this one booster, I don't know if it's a man or woman, all in on softball, and this one booster is the one that's doing all this.
And you got to buy it now until they put a framework in that is going to be either out of a revenue share or the NIL is going to have to go through the school, or these third-party arms are going to have to go through the school. You got to spend now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Chris, the other day when we were talking about this, it was like so fresh. We didn't know if it was $600 or $600,000 because I saw both numbers. It's $600, by the way, not 600,000.
Makes a lot more sense. Yeah. I still don't think this sorts out anytime soon, but that's a whole, I want to have that conversation in the off season, because there's a lot of these new lawsuits I want to dive into a little bit and read up on it. It's too much to bite off at once, especially when you're still watching baseball.
Correct. Yeah, it's still way too fresh right now.
And the Milli Vanilli thing. I mean, stretch your watches here, boys.
You got me all distracted with that, Jay.
Well,
that was a wild story. In all seriousness,
they kind of made a comeback, or they've been in the news recently. Who are the brothers in California with their parents?
The Menendez brothers?
Yeah, so that show, I don't know if y'all watched it. Not the doc, the show. They play like one Milli Vanilli song throughout the whole season, and it was so good. Like I couldn't get that song out of my head.
We're talking about the Menendez brothers that are on the Mark Jackson card, aren't we?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. That was after the fact when they bought a bunch of cars. They went all over the place. They were living it up.
Yeah. Well, let's talk some baseball. We're going to get ready for Arkansas and Murray State in an elimination game. Graham, in fact, I think I know who the starting pitchers are for both of those. I'll give you a window to look up UCLA, and I would presume LSU is going to go Anthony Einson. But before we get there, Jay Greason, when you need to keep your coffee hot, where do you go?
I go to this wonderful, handsome cup from our chums at
GameTime
Sidekick. Hey, I can be Vanna White without the curves and without the pretty.
These things are works of art. I got my dad one for Father's Day. He loves it. and picked up an extra one for my daughter. She's on vacation. When she gets back, she'll see that. But these things are amazing. They are works of art that you drink from. The ice retention is amazing. This is my new go-to. It is a 40-ounce tumbler with a straw and a handle. I fill this sucker up with water in the morning with 40 ounces, and I put ice in there. I've literally seen it retain all the ice. And I haven't taken it outside, and I put cold water in, but the ice was still solid 12 hours after I put it in the cup, which tells you a lot about how well it's made. The paint quality is unbelievable. You go to GameTimeSidekicks.com, get your officially licensed stainless steel drinkware. Every SEC school, over 350 more universities. So if you're watching this and you're a Coastal Carolina fan, a Murray State fan, or whatever, you can get your team too. But use the promo code SE16 at GameTimeSidekicks.com. That gets you 10% off your order. It is top-of-the-market quality construction. All the logo printing is done in Knoxville, double wall, vacuum insulated. It's got the college vault line, which you don't get a lot of places. Stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, shaker cups, you name it. They've literally got thousands of selections. You won't believe some of the stuff they've got. If your team wins the national title in baseball, they're going to have a commemorative cup for you too. So keep that in mind. Help out the folks who help us. GameTimeSidekicks.com, SE16. Get you 10% off your entire order. Help out those who help the show. All right, Graham, you were digging in, I think, on pitching matchups. I think for Arkansas, we get Gage Wood. It has been speculated. I don't know if it's official. I saw this somewhere online, and I would credit the source if I remembered it, but I don't. And I think Murray State was going to go with, allegedly, Isaac Silva, who's a right-hander who threw 81 in the third innings coming into today. Pretty good command of his stuff, keeps the ball in the park, which hasn't really mattered so far in this event. And then LSU, I would presume, would go Ianson. And UCLA, we don't have a starting pitcher, do we?
Landon Stump.
Landon Stump. Okay, there you go. Let's start Arkansas.
What? You can't be 6'6" and your last name Stump. I'm sorry.
Right.
I mean, Fatty Arbuckle was not a Nigerian basketball player named Bowl, all right?
He's 6'3", though.
Oh, well, you're wrong, Jay Greason.
I am wrong. But he ain't taller than me, brother.
No, he's not.
I bet there can't be very many people, Jay, when you walk in a room, it's got to be a short list of people taller than you.
Well, it's an even shorter list of people who talk more than me.
Well, let's give Graham first crack at it. Thoughts on Murray State, Arkansas today?
I think this game is going to be a slugfest. Chris, I think you hit the nail on the head the other day. Like Murray State, their first game in the tournament, they hit the ball hard, but it felt like this was the first time where the defense just made plays like in the outfield, and the infield was played perfectly. And that just really hadn't happened to Murray State's offensively so far in the tournament. To me, like both teams are going to be able to get some hits. The difference in this one, like I think Arkansas is going to be able to handle Murray State's pitching, but what do the Razorbacks look like on the mound? Like, are they going to use some of their top guys? Or if they get the lead, are they going to go with, some guys that maybe they don't lean on as much? But like, I do think Murray State is going to get some hits. I think Arkansas is going to win, but I don't think this is going to be like a close, tight game, anything like this. To me, this is going to be like a lot of hits and a lot of runs scored. Murray State, they just ran into a red-hot UCLA team. UCLA hasn't lost a game yet in the NCAA tournament. So this is an interesting one. I think this is going to be like the polar opposite of the LSU game. I think this game is going to have a lot of hits and runs, and I think the LSU game will maybe not be as high scoring.
Well, Vegas completely concurs that they expect a lot of hits and runs, but they expect a hog's ass kicking. The FanDuel line is Arkansas -4.5.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
with an over-under at 12.
Okay. So, yeah, they are banking on a lot of runs. Okay.
That means an 8-4 ball game is what they're thinking. Which I don't think we've had anyone score more than 8 yet, right?
I'll look it up.
And how many home runs got hit yesterday, by the way?
I was wondering that too. I knew prior to yesterday, there had only been 2 the whole tournament, or in Omaha, I should say.
The Rosenblatt Stadium is the Oakmont of college baseball.
Yeah.
They runs need to matter. Par needs to matter. All right, quick tangent. I got bored with that golf tournament. If I want to go watch a whole bunch of dudes make bogeys and worse, I'll go play. I mean, I need to see some dudes make some shots. The most entertaining part of that golf tournament was the replay of Tiger in 2008 during the rain delay.
Yeah. Yeah. To answer your question, Chris, there were 3 home runs hit yesterday. So,
okay,
five total.
Okay. I thought it was 3 coming in yesterday, but 5 or 6 either way. It's under 1 a game for both sides, which is very opposite of the game we saw all year. Has the wind been blowing in? I haven't been looking at the weather and checking the flags, but anyway.
Yeah, I'm not positive either. I didn't catch one pitch yesterday. Yesterday we had a lot going on.
I caught a little bit of 2 games, but not all of either. Was resting up for today. But I mean, Arkansas today, they're throwing Gage Wood today. I was texting with Andrew Hutchinson. He said something along the lines of Dave Van Horn, I guess, had commented that he didn't want to lose a game with his best pitcher out there. And Wood's numbers weren't great. He had a 5.06 ERA, but he's extremely gifted. And so I think you probably go with him. Murray State probably didn't see a lot of arms like that. I mean, although they've seen some arms in the tournament. Although Murray's been more in regionals with hitting teams than teams that were pitching heavy. And so this will be the best staff they've run into.
Yeah.
Here's a guy. I don't know that he'll play in today, but I'm wondering, like, if Wood gives him 4, could they maybe go to Will McIntyre, or would they save him for LSU? I mean, I would think, I don't know what they will do looking a game ahead, because you have to win a few here. But, like, that's in terms of allowing base runners, if you add hit batsman into whip, he had like a 0.7 something, which is like a half a run or an inning lower than their next guy. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that, like, they've got all these sexy, hard-throwing options, and he's not one of them. He's just kind of a boring, veteran, relative soft tosser. But, man, that guy has pitched in a lot of games. I think he's one of the most underrated players in the league. He's a righty. I don't know how that matches up with Murray, but I'm just saying I think Will McIntyre is maybe the piece that a team has got in its back pocket that we should be talking about more. I don't know if that plays in today, if it plays in a couple days from now, if it plays in, if because Arkansas's got to win 3 to get out of this region now. But I will bet you if they make a run, Will McIntyre plays a part, and he's a guy that, in my opinion, we have not talked enough about.
Older guy, just been a part of the program for a while, and he's pitched in big moments like this. So he has shown that he's somebody that can handle the moment, and that is a part of it in postseason play.
Yeah.
The other part of that, Chris, is if you're not giving freebies, you can get away with mistakes being the Dairy Queen guy, soft serve only there.
Yes.
Because you're going to have to not only make a mistake, you're going to have to make it to a dude who does have the power to get it out of that joint. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
His free pass rate this year was 4%. That's walks and hit by pitches. That's beyond elite.
Yeah, it is. And by the way, you mentioned the pitchers they face. Murray State did not face against Hunter Elliott. Like, Elliott didn't start. Elliott pitched like maybe an inning and some change in relief.
Yeah. I think they're going to run into arms above and beyond what they saw all year, which is the case for most people playing Arkansas that weren't in the SEC.
Well, and to that point, Graham, I think that's a good line of thinking, because one of my betting maxims is if a line looks too good to be true, it almost always is. Vegas wants you to bet that way, because who of us, in the College World Series in Omaha, who in a million years would feel comfortable laying 4.5 runs?
Yeah.
Which means Vegas is trying to sucker you into this.
Yeah. Are you playing the game today, Jay?
No.
Okay.
I'm to the point of I have made and lost so much money in gambling and had the roller coaster. I play relatively small, at least compared to what I used to play. Mm-hmm. And I only play games that I'm going to be able to sit down and watch. I'm not going to be able to watch Arkansas. My afternoon's too busy. I am going to watch
just
LSU,
for fun.
So I'll play LSU.
Yeah. I mean, outfield defense is another thing that like is a really big deal in this tournament. Justin Thomas is pretty solid in center. Now, Logan Maxwell had a little bit of a tough time the other day. But that's something to keep an eye on out there too. Davlon left, I feel like is pretty solid when I've seen him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've touched on it. I mean, it's a massive ballpark, and it is a little different. I mean, it's a pitcher-friendly park, tons of room in foul territory, and you really got to put a charge in one to hit it out. So there is an adjustment period, I feel like, for these teams.
Chris, you've paid more attention to the coverage of this than I have per se, and Graham, you probably have too, being over there a lot more than me. I think it's audibly deceiving, especially for an outfielder, because I think the ping and you go back and then you realize that ball's not hit that hard. And you take a proper angle, first step always back, and you're running into the gap, and all of a sudden you're playing it on 2 bounces.
Yeah, I mean, you got a point, because this year in SEC baseball, like, you got used to backpedaling a lot. I mean, not just this year, the last few years. And the parks are small, and this just plays completely differently. I mean, the dimensions are much deeper. The wind patterns are deeper. It's a very different game than we saw all season. And I like it. I like the fact. I like home runs. I don't like them to where they were like in 2014 when you needed to swing a sledgehammer to get it out of there. I think that was too much. But I like the fact that you can make decent pitches and let your defense make plays behind you. It's just a very different ball game. Like, if you're Texas and Vandy, you're just killing yourself right now going, man, if we'd been here, this plays right into what we do.
Yeah, that's why you see Louisville having success.
Yeah, and they've got a center fielder who can fly.
Yeah. Well, feels like Dan McDonald has been pushing all the right buttons. Did you see his speech on the field to his team yesterday?
You sent me that. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. But
it was I mean, talk about circle the wagons, rally the troops. I mean, he did it, and then they had that monster inning late to win.
What did he skip the session with Crash Davis?
Oh, it was like his version of
sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains.
No, it was his version of "This is Sparta." It was one of those 300 speeches.
Oh, hey, Billy Bob in Friday Night Lights. My heart is full, boys. My heart is full. That's a good one.
Yeah. To me, that's probably Mount Rushmore, that one.
Yeah, it is. And the movie was direct, but Pacino's 1-inch speech in Any Given Sunday is pretty good too.
I haven't seen that in a while.
Well, and then, of course, Strap's dad with the barely big enough for 3 syllables Hickory Huskers bowing their head in the locker room. Yeah. David put his hand inside the bag and pulled out a stone and flung it. And he struck the Philistine in the head.
I got to watch that one with my son. He'd love that. LSU, UCLA. Einstein, and we don't have one for UCLA, or do we? You told me there was. Okay. Yeah, and they went.
You guys want to know a great trivia question?
Let's have it.
Only 2 programs in sports, in college sports, to have the #1 overall pick in football, basketball, and baseball are playing this evening.
Say that again.
The only 2 athletic programs in sports, in college sports, have the #1 overall pick in basketball, baseball, and football in the draft, professional draft.
Okay.
UCLA and LSU.
Okay, LSU would have had Jamarcus Russell.
Yep.
Joe
Might have had
Burrow.
LSU's
more.
had several. Burrow.
Joe Burrow,
Wasn't
Shaq.
Burt Jones one?
Skeens for baseball. It was Shaq one
That
overall.
fella called Shaq.
Yeah.
Shaq.
Okay. And
And
then
UCLA
UCLA would have
had-
had Lou Alcindor.
Yeah, and Walton. Troy Aikman.
Okay.
And
Garrett Cole.
Yep, Garrett Cole.
Okay. Wow. That's pretty wild. You would have thought there'd been more than that.
Well, there's only 2 teams in the SEC that have members of the basketball, NFL, and MLB Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to me that's the most surprising one.
It is. It's shocking.
Could Alabama get there next year?
With
Well,
LeBron.
Yeah. Auburn. You had Auburn's just hit it for football, right? Cam Newton.
Huh?
How many #1 picks has Auburn had overall in any
Tucker
sport?
Frederickson, Cam Newton, Andre Bruce. I don't think I want to say Pat Sullivan was, but I don't think.
But
he
no
was.
basketball.
No,
They had Casey Mize for baseball.
yeah, they did. But their
So-
top basketball pick was Jabari Smith a couple years ago to the Rockets at 2,
Okay, so close.
and before
Is
that it
Alabama-
was Chuck at 4.
Has Alabama had a 1 overall in football? I know that sounds crazy to ask.
Yeah, the defensive lineman didn't like Copeland go 1 to Cincinnati or something.
Maybe. Was Brandon Miller 1-1 in basketball?
No.
No,
Okay.
He was like 2 or 3 to Charlotte.
Okay.
There was a
Maybe
lot.
Justin Lamont next
Remember,
year.
there was a lot going on with that pick.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
He's from my neck of the woods.
surprised he didn't get picked by the Bullets.
I'm leaving that.
All right,
alone.
let's
Let's
see.
talk LSU,
Work your
UCLA.
magic out of that one.
Yeah. I guess we'll see an Einstein night. I would think he'd be back. I mean, he's been about as consistent as any starting pitcher in the country. Let me see. I want to see who UCLA. I guess it won't really matter too much because they had a day of rest. But I want to see who we can maybe rule out there. LSU would have pretty much everybody available except for Cade Anderson. I mean, what's the line on LSU tonight, Jay? I would have to think they are heavy favorites.
No, tighter pick than the afternoon game.
Well, that's not a surprise, but
LSU is -2.5 with an over/under of 9.5, which
okay,
means you've got options as a betting player there.
7-3.
If you're not sold on it maybe going over 9.5 with this pitching matchup, you can play a pretty strong +2.5 number, because +2.5 in a game scoring in the teens can go any different direction. If you think this is a game that's going to have a tough time getting north of 7, +2.5 becomes house money.
Mm-hmm.
So thinking a 6-3 type of game.
Right.
I think a big part of it is just UCLA hasn't lost in the NCAA tournament These two teams, they just don't play a lot. 5 times total. LSU leads the all-time series 3-2. But their head coach, John Savage, who's been incredible, he's 2-0 against LSU.
Something to watch. Rock Chalowski, who's their best hitter, I think they were saying he's pretty good either way, but I think his splits against lefties are much better. And Ianson is a righty. And he's not really been hitting in this tournament, I don't think, the way he did in the regular season. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe I heard that in passing while I was listening to the show or to the broadcast the other day.
Yeah, but Stan Musial didn't hit like that kid hit during the regular season.
Well, that's true. Yeah, so it could change at any time would be your point.
But I think part of that too is just the very common refrain of the postseason of everybody spent a whole lot of time trying to figure out, all right, we're going to make somebody else beat us, but that dude.
Yeah.
Are we worried about LSU's hitting any? I mean, Jared Jones is back to not hitting great again. And I'm not going to – I guess we shouldn't put too much into it because it was Arkansas. And we went on and on about how I thought every pitcher in that game the other night for both sides is going to see Major League time. But
I wouldn't be nervous offensively for LSU. Again, what are the odds they're going to run into 2 first-round arms tonight for UCLA? Not
poor.
High. So I just don't think they're going to face somebody like Root or Gackle like what they did the other day.
Yeah, UCLA's got a couple of high-end pitchers. And let me look it up. Wyland Moss, their righty. And did he throw on
Yeah, a
Friday?
little bit.
I got this somewhere. Okay, he did.
I think under 10 pitches.
5 pitches. So that's the one to watch for. And he was a reliever who threw a good number of innings. But, I mean, that's their most talented guy.
Mm-hmm.
Stump was fair for them, but he's not a high strikeout guy, not a great control guy. I mean, the numbers, he's got a 4.54 ERA, but you look at the underlying stuff and it doesn't add up. I don't know why his ERA was what it was.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 4.54, and it feels like it should have been higher. Decent fly ball tendency, but in that park, that's not a bad thing.
Right. I mean, Stump will probably get drafted, but just there's no first round buzz with him like there is with Root and Gackle for Arkansas.
No. Yeah, UCLA's pitching does not. UCLA and Murray, their pitching doesn't even begin to compare to what LSU and Arkansas have got.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I mean, they, like you said, they figured a lot of stuff out. They haven't lost. Well, gosh, they won the Big Ten tournament too, didn't they? Or no, wait, Nebraska won that. Beat UCLA.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nebraska won that for the second year in a row. And then
remember, you scream old school Big Ten rivalries, and I think Nebraska, UCLA.
Yeah.
Yes.
Me too. But you also got to remember UCLA, relatively easy regional, and they got UTSA in the supers. So,
right.
So they called a break in that they didn't face Texas.
What else are we watching on LSU UCLA tonight?
How they
manage
the
Chalowski's. Yeah, that's a big one, Jay.
And you got to believe Jay Johnson's got his 4-leaf clover, his voodoo doll, his Jobu. 'Tis very bad to drink Jobu rum. Very bad. Cut the head off a live chicken, whatever superstition he can. He gets 7 out of Ianson tonight. LSU's going to be impossible to beat.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're going to be the best. And Arkansas has been one of the handful of best teams in the country all year. But they're going to be walking into a knife fight with a squirt gun. If LSU can get by UCLA tonight and Ianson gives them 7 more. Yeah, Good luck with that. It'd be like in Over the Top with Stallone, and he does the arm wrestling. He says when he spins that hat around, it feels like a truck. He's ready to go.
I like how in that movie, he's the only one that figured out that grip.
Yeah. Yeah.
All it takes is to flip the hat around, that grip. He's undefeated, baby.
Talking with quantum physics, Neil deGrasse Tyson with outer space and nuclear technology, and Mr. Hawks with the kung fu transition grip in arm wrestling. Yeah. I mean, you can't. And Tyson chicken. I mean, you can't. Those are the Michelangelos of their field, man.
Yep.
I like how you string together sentences that have never been uttered in the history of the earth. I mean, I'm pretty sure those four people and things have never been grouped together. But that's why you're here, among other things, potentially. One thing I am watching a little bit is if LSU gets a big lead tonight. And by the way, Ianson, one thing I love about him has been so consistent. Like you look at his game log, and there's been some 1 and 2 and 3 innings outings in here. But remember, they used him out of the bullpen late in the seasons. I think they did that against A&M in the tournament. Can't remember for sure. Or maybe they just gave him a short start. They used him against Little Rock in that winner-take-all game out of the bullpen. And then last week was his shortest start in a while. He went just 5 against West Virginia. But as we noted, Kate Anderson had trouble there too because it was so blasted hot down there. But his last starts beside that went 7 2/3 against Little Rock, 7 against South Carolina, 5 against Arkansas, 9 against A&M, 5 2/3 against Tennessee, 6 against Alabama, 5 against Auburn, 5 2/3 against Oklahoma. I could just go on and on, but you get the point. That dude goes consistently late into games and pitches effectively, and that is like the stability and the durability that he's got are just almost unmatched.
Mm-hmm. They really are. Chris, which game intrigues you the most? Is it the Arkansas game or is it the LSU one?
I think Arkansas, just because I want to see if it gets in their heads a little bit. Let's say that Murray puts 2 on the board in the first and they go through the lineup and struggle at time. Like, this has been a mental game in the postseason for a lot of teams.
Mm-hmm. So you want to see if Van Horn makes like a big change like he did the other day, one way or the other. You remember when he took Root out in the second?
Yeah, I'm not really thinking.
Is that what you're looking for?
No, I'm just thinking like the team. Like, there's so much history and tradition there of it not going well, as well as they won in the postseason. Like, does that become a thing on its own? Where you see guys pressing and swinging out of the zone. Like, if Murray gets a little bit of momentum early, like it, and you could, I feel like you could feel that at times in the ballpark this year from what you would see on TV. Like, when it went poorly, like, well, you saw it at LSU a little bit too. When it was getting a little bit to the point that, okay, we're not sure that our season, is going to go on. When there was that moment of doubt, everybody got a little tight. I think that happened probably more fairly because Arkansas kind of rolled through its regional and its super. I guess they didn't lose there, did they?
No, I think they went undefeated in the regional and supers.
Yeah, whereas LSU got tested a little bit. The Little Rock game, I think, stunned everybody a little bit. I just wonder, like, if that now that they've lost one, are they going to be playing loose and free, or is it going to be, that they get behind it snowballs a little bit?
So speaking of Arkansas, what do you think of this super chat from Chuck?
I hadn't noticed, to be honest. I mean, they faced some pretty good pitching. They faced, the possible 1-1 this year. That they faced Doyle and Phillips in the Super, who are probably major league arms. Doyle is for sure. Phillips probably gets there too. I don't know.
Did Anderson get him strike him out twice. I know he punched him once looking and fooled him pretty badly.
Let me look it up. Let me see what he's been doing.
I'm doing that.
But
I'll
here's
send
the
it to
other
you
part
guys
of
in the
that.
chat.
I mean, guys put up superstar, MVP, all-star worthy, all-American numbers throughout regular seasons at this level and at the professional level. And when the playoffs happen and the pitchers are valuing every single pitch, and you're not seeing a Wednesday, I mean, he may see comparatively a Wednesday midweek starter today, but damn sure didn't see it game one against LSU. Everybody they tossed out there is going to be somewhere from – they're not going to be in Shreveport. They're going to be in Denver, Atlanta, or San Francisco.
All right. The numbers for Aloy, he's got 1 hit in 5 of the last 6 games. Now, he did have a stretch. Remember, they closed the regular season against Tennessee, and they played Ole Miss and Hoover. He had a stretch where he went 0 for 10 in those 3 games. So that's kind of where the slump was. But other than that, like, I mean, he's just been steady. I mean, if you're comparing him to his brother, I don't think that's fair. But I mean, again, he's got a hit 5 of the last 6 games. Like, his batting average, I think he's he's 328, 13 homers, 70 RBIs. Again, what they've been hitting him 5th. Like, I would take him in the 5 spot, all day.
He had a multi-hit game against Florida back on April the 26th, 2 for 5. Since then, he's had 1 multi-hit game. That was Tennessee, July the 15th. That was May the 15th. That was regular season. Now, he's had a lot of 1-hit games. Mm-hmm. And let's see, he doesn't walk a ton. He's about average. And he's not been taking a ton of walks. Had 2 against LSU. I mean, the swing and miss there, I think, is part of the issue, but that's kind of his thing. They just grip it and rip it, and when he makes contact, it goes a long way.
Yeah, now he does strike out a ton, but I mean, that's kind of the game of baseball now. Like, that's what it is in the majors, and I mean, if you watch Judd Udemark at Ole Miss, like he was either hitting the ball in a different state or he was striking out.
Yeah. And that's not a good park to do that in.
Which one?
Omaha. You just need to put it in play.
Yeah. Yeah. Chuck says maybe he was thinking about that 3-game stretch where he went 0 for 10. Again, that was 2 games against Tennessee and Hoover against Ole Miss.
But, let's also look at the pitching staffs he faced. That's Florida when Florida was playing really well. Texas was in there. I guess it was right when Texas was starting to collapse a little bit. LSU, Tennessee. I think Creighton could pitch it a little bit too. They saw them in the region. So it's not like he's, it's not like they're feasting off Missouri and whoever in that stretch.
Yeah. I mean, I think he's fine. Like, if it was like 0 for 11, 0 for 12, something like that, then yeah, I'd be a little worried. But again, he's in the 5-hole. Look at all the dudes he's got around him. Like, his brother ahead of him, Iredale's behind him. This is a loaded offense.
Yeah, and the thing I've said that I love about them is they hit 1 to 9. They're all consistent. And now that you got Reese Robinette in there, really hitting well, and they really sustained some injuries. But I feel like Dave Van Horn, their guys have really stepped up. They hit for the group. All of them.
And we're T-minus what? They tip off in an hour and 15 minutes? Or 2 hours and 15 minutes? It's 1 p.m. Central, right?
Yeah, 1
hour
Central.
15.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Robinette didn't play most of the season. He had 79 plate appearances, and he hit one a mile the other day in a place where, I mean, he's a he just needs some time. I think he had 4 at-bats last year. He's got a lot of power potential.
No, I think he missed. I think he missed a large portion of last year. But I said it the other day, like if you're buying stock in somebody, take him, because I think he's going to play a lot next year. And I like his game and the way that he goes about it.
I'm going to give you runs created for 27 outs for their lineup. I'm just going to give them to you in order. And by the average is around 6 to 7. Davalon 10-7, Eloy 11-5. The other Eloy, Cuhillo 9.6, Kozel 9.9, Iredale 10.6, Helfrich 10.2, Maxwell 11.3, Thomas 8.4. Like, I don't think that anybody in the tournament's got a lineup that is that balanced and consistent.
Yeah, they don't.
Like, I'll give you LSU's by comparison. Jones 9.9, Curiel 11.1, Milam 8.5, Dickinson 10.3. Well, LSU's closer than I thought. Stanfield 8.2, Fry 11 flat, Brown 8.5, and Hernandez 7.2, Braswell 3.4. That's where it drops off. Like, the third base spot where they've been playing Tanner Reeves some. So, yeah, top to bottom, Arkansas still got them beat.
Mm-hmm. I like
and by the way, that's
nice
season
spot.
numbers. So some of that is accumulated against the weak teams you play in February. That's part of it. A lot of those guys, there's the difference between that and SEC play, but everybody gets that too. So anyway, carry on.
Over the last quarter century, who completes this Rushmore? And you're going to see the link when I'm finished. Rick Barnes, Mark Richt, and Dave Van Horn.
Oh, I got to guess.
No. There is no. This is not a trivia question. This is an opinion question.
Okay.
Guys who are bona fide Hall of Famers, and for the most part, really good dudes by all accounts. But they got as many rings as the three of us sitting here.
Well, I think you might have missed the main one. I bet Graham can get it if he thinks a second. And you can too, Jay.
I'm trying to think.
Gene Chizik. Oh, no. He has a ring.
No, that was the opposite. him and Eddie O.
Ed Orgeron. Oh, that's right. No, he's coming too. Urban Meyer. No, damn it.
Come on.
What sport?
Well,
What sport are you thinking about?
It's baseball.
Tony V.
No, he's got one. Now you're just
Who in the world
antagonizing.
is it?
Come on. If I say it, you're going to kill yourself.
In the SEC.
Nope. Oh,
Did he
was your stipulation SEC?
No, but
Okay.
Oh,
I mean,
Hall
I'm
at
just
Georgia
looking to
Tech.
branch out into all sports 16.
Good, but that's not who I was thinking. Come on.
Who you
You're going
thinking?
to kick yourself
outside
when I
SEC?
tell you.
I was thinking
This is the easiest
SEC
answer ever.
teams. You're thinking baseball, non-SEC.
Mm-hmm.
Who in the world is this going to be?
Is he thinking Danny Hall?
You're overthinking it.
That's
No,
what
but
it
he'd be honorable mention.
Who is it? Who are you thinking of?
Mike Martin,
Oh yeah.
Florida State. How many times
Yeah.
did Mike Martin get to Omaha and he never won one?
Like almost 20.
Right.
Like 18 or 19, whatever it was.
Yeah, he's the first guy on your Mount Rushmore there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Jay, who are you thinking of?
Well, I mean, you're going to look up, and Rick Barnes, depending on how much longer he coaches, he's going to end up being like top 5 in D1 wins.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he's never been to a Final Four. Or he's been to one Final Four. He hadn't been to one in
Texas.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
He went to one in Texas.
Well, the difference there is he got to the tournament a bunch, right? And they didn't get their ceiling has usually been Sweet 16 and sometimes Elite 8. But Martin has gotten to Omaha, by the way, the dearly departed Mike Martin. Ron Polk's a good one too. That's
he
great.
is.
And of course, I should have thought of that one. But
the difference with him, like he took 3 programs to Omaha. Like that he's the only man that can say that.
But Mike Martin got to Omaha. That's the championship event in the sport. And if you did that over, he'd win one by accident.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly. Yeah.
That's a good one. At least he played for one.
Yeah, and I think all those other guys coached longer than Kelly. Am I right?
Well, they certainly have accomplished more. I mean, Rick averaged 10 wins a year.
This is
we had some folks
unpopular
asking
take
about Van Horn and his consistent year in, year out greatness. Rick was year in, year out greatness. But at some point in programs that truly embrace the ultimate goal, and I'm not saying Arkansas doesn't, but Georgia did.
Yeah.
And they asked he averaged 10 wins a year, and they asked him to go. And you know why?
Because he didn't get the big one.
And the guy they were going to replace him with has.
Yeah. He's taken him to a different level. Kirby.
There's nothing like winning the big one, but like I would not take to coach my team. There's no way I'd take Gene Chizik or Eddie O or any number of coaches you could name to coach my team rather than having Dave Van Horn. Dave Van Horn is an elite coach.
Those are easy because they blew up in the end.
Right.
Would you take Urban Meyer?
Yeah.
Who's a bigger POS
than
either one of the guys you just named? He's probably even with Orgeron. I actually think Chigs is a good dude. He just is a terrible coach who lost control of his program.
Yeah.
But Urban's a POS, brother. And
I don't like having dirtbags running my program. So that's
I don't
just not for
either.
me. But he won a lot.
Dude went undefeated at Utah. He took 2 natties at Florida, took another one at Ohio State. I mean, let's not pretend like we're swimming in the baptismal waters of Ponce de Leon's fountain of youth in college sports either, pal. I mean, it is you're gonna lay down with dogs, you're gonna get fleas.
Yeah. Remember Urban, he also went undefeated his first year at Ohio State. They were on probation, and then he went undefeated at Bowling Green as well.
I mean, if you ask some of his former players, I mean, case in point, Aaron Hernandez, he killed it.
So we got an Aaron Hernandez and a
Menendez brothers, Millie Vanilli
Menendez brothers, and who was Brandon Miller. We have gone all over the
crime
sewer of
all right. Hey, we'll
today.
share a quote story time. Raise your hand if you spend the night in jail.
Negative.
Okay.
All right, we can't leave that here, so let's go.
What'd you do? What
do you think the FanDuel odds that this was going to be the one guy raising his hand? That'd have been minus 10,000.
Can you tell, or should you tell? Okay.
Why can't I tell? All right. Stop me if you've heard this beginning before, but I may have had a few cocktails. All right, so I'm 20 years old on the streets in Auburn, Alabama. I walk up the street. We're at a bar called Gloriana's, and I'm on a payphone. Yes, kids, payphone. Ask your parents. And calling our fraternity house to get the DD to come pick us up. My girlfriend, who was the beta sweetheart, little sister at the time, two of my fraternity brothers and I were leaving. Well, one of them was a kid. All right, among our group, had an Alfred feel to him. Little slender, and I'm none of those. None of those.
Looks like Max Fried.
Max Fried stand-in. Tara comes running up the sidewalk and goes, Jay. The bouncer is beating up Chris. And he just called me the worst word anybody can call a female. But don't go down there. And I said, okay, my God, really? All right. So I go sprinting down there, and I throw the bouncer against the wall. Another bouncer hits me in the back of the neck, and I just turn around. I swear to goodness, it was a blind punch. Second best blind punch I've ever thrown. Just turn around. Flush. Drop him like a bag of hammers. And then it was like the Ron Burgundy scene when they have the rumble, Policia, and everybody scampers. Well, I'm hammered. I'm 6'4". At that time, I'm like 250. I'm easily the guy that gets caught. Well, as it turns out, everybody drops all charges, but I did spend the night in the pokey. The Auburn, Alabama pokey. Next morning, on a Sunday morning, you wake up, we had McDonald's flapjacks.
Like
could have been worse.
Somebody brought all the prisoners or whatever.
Yeah, they just went and picked it up. I guess they didn't want. I guess they didn't just want to cook.
What? How on a scale of 1 to 10, how nervous were you, like sleeping in there?
Well, I'll quote my man Dwight Yoakam in the classic with Buck Owens in the streets of Bakerfield. They threw a drunk man in my jail cell. I took $15 from that man. I left him my old watch and my old house key because I don't want people thinking I would steal. And then I made my way back to Bakersfield.
How did the call of the parents go after that? Or did they ever find out?
Not real well. It was a pretty expensive attorney fee to get all those charges dropped.
All right.
Can't imagine.
Hope you never do. Well, yeah, we're nearing the end here. We had a couple items in the news. Vanderbilt's changing hitting coaches. Jason King on the way out. We'll see where that goes. And some news in Knoxville that Sam dropped earlier. Dylan Loy in the transfer portal. Didn't see that one coming. Who was their closer? Well, I don't know if he's their closer. I don't know if they had a true closer this year, but he was like I felt like as close to it as they had for a while. Nate Snead was kind of that guy, but he was more of a long man.
Yeah, I mean, you'll see that not only with Tennessee, but other teams. Like the portal giveth, the portal taketh away. So,
yeah,
it's just going to happen. It's part of it.
And
we
we'll
both
hit
know
all
that.
Tony V's now balancing checkbooks and saying, all right, where do I give that check to? Who now? Where? Who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We'll get you guys ready for that. We'll track the portal or a little bit, just haven't done it on air. And then of course that in the draft. So we're gonna keep track of rosters as they settle, and we're gonna have a lot of stuff coming up for you the next week with the portal, with the draft, and then maybe when it's done. I was thinking of doing some way too early SEC power rankings for next year, guys. Once the draft's over, seeing where we rank the teams. So we got a lot of baseball stuff coming up is the point, even after the season stops. Of course, we'll have you covered till the end of Omaha. Football coverage starting, basketball coverage still going. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do that. If you don't follow our podcast feeds, we're not just YouTube. Wherever you get your podcasts, you should find us audio. So do that. That helps us out. Leave us a rating. That helps us get noticed there, and helps our partners at Believe a little bit too. So do that if you don't mind. And join the membership tier. We will do something members only soon. I promise you. Don't know what it'll be, but we'll come up with something. Maybe be Jay's story time. That's always a part of it. So that's coming. And we'll have you around 4 Central for the wrap on Arkansas, Murray State. And then tonight around probably 9. I think that game first pitches at 6. Weather willing. I haven't checked the weather today, but that's the plan, barring no setbacks. So anyway, for Jay Greason, for Graham Doty, I'm Chris Lee at Southeastern 16. God bless you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again in about 5 hours.